I am Will Scott. We have some breaking news this afternoon on Mavericks Today. Dallas has signed veteran guard Facundo Campazzo to the final roster spot. On this channel, we've discussed who could they sign to the final roster spot. And days before the start of the regular season in the NBA, it is Facundo Campazzo who they're bringing in. Eurohoops.net was the first to report. Facundo Campazzo has signed a one-year deal with Dallas. We saw some reports yesterday from Mark Spears, amongst others, that a deal was close. Now it is official. They have signed the veteran Argentinian basketball star Campazzo to a one-year deal. He'll be on the 15-man roster as we bring in producer Jeff Cooperstein. Coop, what's your initial reaction to all of this?
It's a long time coming, I think. Campazzo is a guy who's played with Luka, as we'll get into later. He's familiar with the system. He's a veteran who's not going to play a lot of minutes, but he can give the Mavs a spark off the bench. Mavs desperately needed a third ball handler. It was Luka Doncic, it was Spencer Dinwiddie, and then they didn't really have anyone else. They're trying out Jaden Hardy, trying out even Josh Green in the preseason, and I think Campazzo's signing makes perfect sense because he'll give you about 15 minutes off the bench, and he'll give you some spark that they didn't have earlier.
Exactly, and when you talk about that depth, they really needed some depth at the guard spot, especially after the departure of Jalen Brunson to New York. And for a long time, we're wondering, what are the Mavericks doing? Are they finally going to sign somebody? And today they finally did, kind of at the last minute. The regular season's a week away.
Yeah, they had left that roster spot open to see if one of the guys they brought in for camp was going to seize it and take advantage of that, but never really happened. So they saw Campazzo out on the open market. It's a guy that Luka knows. It's a guy that the Mavs have known for a while. So it made sense to sign him.
I think it makes sense as well. Do you think it makes sense, though? Go down to the comment section and grade the signing. Type A, B, C, D, or F down in the comment section. It's the pinned comment on today's video. Reply to it when you get a second. Type A, B, C, D, or F. I think it's a solid B+ signing this late into the off season. So when the Mavericks make a move, we're going to have you covered, right? Go down, hit that big red subscribe button. We're all over any moves the Mavericks make. We literally got y'all a video from a sports bar when the Christian Wood trade went down. I can promise you, wherever we're at, we're going to get you guys a video ASAP when the Mavericks make a move. Go down, hit that big red subscribe button because the season is right around the corner, a week away. You want to stay in the loop during the season as well. Go down, subscribe to the channel. So you mentioned that earlier, Coop, the guard situation. They just had 3 guards, ball handling guards coming in to today. Now they have 4, Luka Doncic, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jaden Hardy, and now you have Facu Campazzo to the mix here.
Yeah, and look, the Mavs don't have the best guard depth in the league here. I mean, you're going to be relying a lot on Luka Doncic and Spencer Dinwiddie to do a lot of the heavy lifting with the ball handling. And Jason Kidd said earlier this week that he kind of hinted at it, that Spencer Dinwiddie might be coming off the bench as part of that second unit. So that makes you wonder what the Mavs are going to do in the starting lineup. As of right now, I predict Jaden Hardy to be in the starting lineup.
Really? Okay, wow.
And he was their second-round pick here in the 2022 NBA draft, and Hardy's a guy who...
He was a steal, for sure.
Absolutely, and he's a guy who can score really quick, but is he ready to take on that? I'm not sure, and I think that's another reason why they signed Campazzo. In case Hardy's not ready, they have a little insurance policy. They're just waiting in the wings.
Absolutely. Campazzo certainly has a lot of experience playing professional basketball. However, this is just his 3rd NBA season. We'll talk about what he did with the Denver Nuggets here in a second. He started his career at Penarol 2008 to 2014. Then most notably, he was with Real Madrid from 2014 to 2020, played with Luka Doncic at Real Madrid, and then the last 3 seasons, 2020 to 2022, last 2 seasons, he spent with the Denver Nuggets, so this will be his 3rd NBA season. Here is what he did, 130 games played with Denver, so played a decent amount, 5.6 points per game, 3.5 assists per game, 37.2% field goal percentage, shot 32.8% from three-point range, was pretty solid off the bench over there in Denver, 2 playoff teams that he was on with the Nuggets. And who do you kind of compare him to here, Coop?
Yeah, this is a guy, I think he's really similar to J.J. Barea. They have a similar style of play, similar height. Barea is probably a little bit of a better shooter than Campazzo is, but I think those guys are pretty comparable, especially with their leadership qualities as well. They'll be calming influences in the locker room. it's a kind of guy you go to. It's like a break glass in case of emergency. So if the Mavs are down 20, hey, throw in Campazzo, see what he does. Maybe he gives you a spark off the bench. Maybe he's a guy that's able to calm Luka down, because we know Luka gets hot-headed every now and then.
Right.
So he's someone that can be that calming influence on Luka and on the locker room as
And
well.
how do you think his familiarity with Luka is going to help with that? Because he played with him at Real Madrid.
Yeah, it'll help him right away. I think he'll be able to slide right in, and he's a guy who can kind of run into any offense, so it's not going to be too much of a transition for him. I bet he's available on opening night on Wednesday against the Phoenix Suns. The Mavericks haven't officially signed him yet, so that might depend when it happens, but I think he'll be available against the Suns and might even get some minutes.
Wow. When you look at what he did in Denver, I mean, the numbers weren't anything crazy. He definitely, he took a little bit of a dip. The numbers he put up in the EuroLeague, was a two-time champion over there in Europe. Again, 5.6 points per game with the Denver Nuggets, 130 games played the last 2 seasons in the NBA. So we're going to go a little 2K style here. Rate Campazzo as a player. Scale it 1 to 100 down in the comments section. If you had to give a 2K grade on this guy, what would the grade be? Go down in the comments and let me know. Coop, just final thoughts here before we wrap things up.
I think they could have done better.
Really? Okay.
The Mavs could have signed someone earlier in free agency, and I think they could have done a little better.
Who could they have signed?
Goran Dragic wanted to be a Mav. And I think Dragic is probably a better player at this stage in his career than Campazzo. However, at the end of the day, the Mavs didn't guarantee Dragic that playing time, and I think Campazzo was okay with not being guaranteed playing time because he just wanted to stay in the NBA.
Right.
It was either the Mavs or he was going back to Real Madrid, going back to Europe. So he chose the NBA over Europe, whereas Dragic, found a home in Chicago where he's going to get significant playing time now, especially with the injuries to Lonzo Ball. Yeah, so it's an interesting signing. It's a good signing for what they have available now, but I think they could have done better.
Well, and then you look at, what Campazzo was thinking here. Like you said, he had the option of maybe going back to Europe, but he stayed patient throughout the entire offseason. You're now a week away from the start of the season. He finally gets signed. So staying patient, waiting for the opportunity really paid off for Campazzo.
Absolutely, yeah. And look,
it's a really good opportunity for him.
No doubt. He gets to join a team that wants to contend in the Western Conference. They made the Western Conference Finals last year. The West is a difficult conference this year. I mean, there's not very many bad teams at all, so they're going to need him. They're going to need him to contribute. And look, the Mavs are a team that are looking to do big things. So it's a small signing, but it could go a long way. Facundo
Campazzo, the newest member of the Dallas Mavericks, and like producer Jeff Cooperstein just said, opening night against the Phoenix Suns a week away. And let me tell you, I think the Suns are still in shambles after what the Dallas Mavericks did to them in the playoffs a couple months ago. Now we get the rematch that is much anticipated around the league. Type MFFL down in the comments section. Again, MFFL if you are fired up about the Dallas Mavericks opening night just a week away. Facundo Campazzo might play in that game, might get some minutes.